My name is Rolf Benirschke. I was raised in an academic medical family. My dad was a medical school teacher. So from 15 on, I've lived here in Southern California and ended up in the NFL. I ended up as the kicker for the San Diego Chargers, ultimately for 10 years. But it was in my second season that I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. I started getting sick very early in the season. I had bad abdominal crampiness. Initially thought I had the flu. And it was really not until a little more than 2 weeks went by that I went to Dad. I go, Dad, it's not getting better. And so he took me to a gastroenterologist at UCSD where I was originally diagnosed. That off season, I tried every traditional therapy that I hadn't tried and convinced myself I was getting better. I remember it like it was yesterday. We opened in Seattle. I ended up kicking 4 field goals. We're in the locker room afterwards. The team is celebrating. And I'm sitting in front of my locker crying. The pain is so bad. It's like someone has a knife in my abdomen and they're turning it. Well, the end came 3 games later. We just played against New England, flying home on the team plane. I ended up collapsing on the team plane on the way to the restroom. They landed the plane, they took me to the hospital, where I woke up in the same hospital where my dad was actually teaching with 2 ostomy bags on my side, septic, and the doctors who were seeing me, my dad's colleagues, telling him, we're not sure Rolf's going to survive the night. But I survived the night, and then the next night, and the next night, and would spend 5.5 weeks in the ICU, 2 more weeks in the hospital, then released to the care of my parents. And then I'm looking around going, why did I live? From my perspective, there was nothing in life worth living for. I went through a really dark time. I went through a time where people would want to come to the house and see me, and I would tell Mom, I go, Mom, I just don't want to see him. I'm embarrassed, I'm scared, I'm angry, I'm in pain, I'm ashamed. Well, I had a lot of time on my hands, and I wrestled through what this was like, and I got turned on to several books written by POWs who had survived 6 years in places like the Hanoi Hilton in Vietnam. And the things that they shared that got them through this horrendous experience, I began to apply to my life. They talked about setting small little goals. So for me, my first goal was to get out of bed, then walk to the mailbox and back. And the next day, 2 mailboxes and 3. And pretty soon I was shuffling to the end of the street. I still had wire sutures holding my abdomen together, but I was getting there. And then the last thing was I had to make a decision. Do I choose to stay bitter, or do I choose to get better? Instead of asking why me, it's what now and where do I go from here? And that changed everything for me. I was still under contract with the Chargers. So I went to the owner and said, look, there's been a lot of public support. It's been great for me, but you need a kicker that you can count on. Will you just give me a chance? He said, if you can prove to the medical staff that you can protect yourself, we'll let you try out. So I worked the medical staff and earned my job back and returned to the NFL and played 7 more seasons. But where my life changed was because of the visibility of the NFL. Wherever we would play that first season, the local sports writer would come out and write about what happened to this NFL player. And wherever those stories were written or seen, patients would see them or read them. And a lot of them would actually screw up enough courage to write me. Rolf, how can you play football with an ostomy? I'm trying to, it was like a fill in the blank, go to school, go to work, be a dad. This was the quintessential closet disease. Are you kidding me? Poop in a bag? Nobody wants to talk about that. But it happened for me. And then I embraced the opportunity to deflect the attention on me to the opportunity to encourage other patients. And I started a program called Great Comebacks. And the idea was to find other stories. I couldn't be the only one that got their life back. So we started to collect these stories that absolutely blew up that box. I wrote 2 books, Great Comebacks from Ostomy Surgery and Embracing Life, books that are compilation books of people who have overcome ostomy surgery. I wrote my own autobiography, Alive and Kicking, and it was intended to make people aware that there was life after surgery, and surgery was a second chance for them. And now I'm finally doing what I've always wanted to do. It's to build an ostomy recovery program, support program that virtually holds the hand of the patient from the month before surgery, patients lucky enough to know they're going to have the surgery, through their 3 to 4 month post-surgical transition. I'm thrilled to receive this honor, and I'm really going to accept it on behalf of the thousands and thousands of lives you surgeons get to change. What you do is amazing, but you don't get told that enough. So let me, on behalf of those thousands of patients, thank you for what you do. What I would say to patients who are either just about to have a surgery or who have just had it, to let them know there are lots of us that have been down that road. And every one of us has asked the same questions you're asking. Can I really live again? Can I do the things I love to do? And the answer is yes, unequivocally yes. It's not just my story, it's the thousands of other stories. Not all of us get there quickly, but we have to ultimately accept it. And then we start to look for the upside, and the upside is unbelievable. Many of us, again, wouldn't trade it because of how it's changed us. And I encourage you, the same can happen with you.